We're back here in Athens. Not a bad trophy case. A few championships there. Mike Griffith joining us from AJC's DawgNation. Mike, seems like we were just here, just a mere 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, here we were, and here we are, and here's Georgia. And I don't know that I expected the Georgia Bulldogs to be here in this manner. The narrative was supposed to be Arch Manning, Gunnar Stockton, Arch the Heisman Trophy candidate, Texas the preseason #1. Now Georgia's the favorite, and now Gunnar Stockton, a dark horse Heisman Trophy candidate. And yeah, look at the numbers. Better than Arch in most every category. Now I'll say this though, Paul. Arch Manning has only had 1 interception in the last 4 games, and Texas has been winning some tough games on the road.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's start with Georgia, though, because you can look at whatever you want to look at, and you can say, well, they almost did this and they almost did that, but they have mostly come through.
Well, they really have, and it's been one great story after another. The Alabama game aside, you go back to that Tennessee game. I mean, I want an oil painting of that London Humphreys catch in the back of the end zone and that Gunnar Stockton throw on 4th and 6. I mean, that was unbelievable. I mean, that's the throw that Gunnar was not supposed to be able to make. And London Humphreys, transfer from Vanderbilt, wasn't he supposed to come here and help everybody with his homework? No, he's a real ball player. Just imagine how good Vanderbilt might be if he was still with them. And we can talk about Vandy as a playoff team in a minute too. But back to Georgia, transfer-wise, Zachariah Branch. This guy has been magic. I don't know if he's a well-kept secret, not around here, but I don't hear enough of the national analysts talking about Zachariah Branch and what he can do for this Georgia team. In fact, I would go so far as to say he may be the only player on offense that I would say would have started on either one of Georgia's national championship teams in 21 and 22.
That's a pretty good compliment.
It's a heck of a comment because those teams now you go back and look, it's a who's who. I think the Eagles played the Packers the other night. He had like 12 former Georgia guys, 6 on one team, 6 on the other. And, of course, there was a 10-7 score because defense is going to dominate. It's just what Kirby does. Except for this year, when it's the offense that's come up with the heroics. I mean, that Ole Miss Georgia game was a track meet like I'd never seen Georgia play. I mean, Ole Miss scores 35 points unanswered. It's 4th quarter, and it's almost like Kirby says, okay, let's shift into gear now. Let's just shut them out the entire 4th quarter. Let's hold the quarterback Chambliss, an incredible athlete, incredible quarterback. Let's have him go 1 of 10 passing in the 4th quarter. Let's shut down Lane Kiffin. I don't think Lane wants that one out there on the resume when he's trying to negotiate his next deal, wherever that's going to be.
And where is that going to be?
I think Florida.
You do?
I do. You know, Lane said that it's all about happiness for him, and I think Ole Miss has been a tremendous fit. I think Lane Kiffin has done great things for the Ole Miss Rebels. And again, I'm not reporting this. This is just a gut feel, just a thought.
This isn't inside information?
This is not a report. This is a feeling about it. And I know that Ole Miss would do everything that they could possibly do and that Lane would ask him to do. I just wonder, where would he be happiest? And he has talked about Florida being a happy place for him. And this is a guy that's shown he can win. If he gets enough NIL funds, Florida is desperate for him. It is Lane Kiffin or bust. And if that is where he and his family will be happiest living, forget the football part, then why not go for it if you're Lane Kiffin? If not now, when?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. You only get so many moments in your career to make a leap, and we know he wanted. We know he was looking at it last year.
Yeah. And then Billy Napier beat him.
Yeah.
And Billy Napier, by the way, was on campus at Georgia this week.
What was he doing here?
Well, you know, Kirby said they're just old friends, and I don't know, Florida just happened to sack Manning 6 times when they played him this year. But I'm sure it never came up.
Never thought of that.
No, I'm sure the game plan never came up, never talked about how Florida ran all over Texas, held them to fewer yardage than Ohio State did. You know, these metrics, I mean, again, this whole college football playoff thing, but back to the point. Napier on campus, you wonder about the timing of it, or who knows, maybe this is going to be the next coaching rehab spot. Now that Nick Saban's gone, maybe Kirby brings Napier on here. I mean, the guy's a pretty good receivers coach and a pretty good coach in general. I mean, he did win some pretty big games, and I think his expertise, you know, he's from the state of Georgia. Why not? Why not give him a look?
Weren't Kirby's dad and Napier's dad friends?
Yeah, coaches, right? Both former high school coaches, and Napier from Chatsworth, right up the road. You know, Stetson Bennett almost played for Billy Napier. Can you imagine the script?
No.
If well, we won't get into it then.
Go ahead.
We'll leave it right there. I mean, he was going to go and play for Billy Napier at Louisiana, and then Georgia made an 11th hour call because they couldn't get a quarterback. Hey, we need to bring Stetson Bennett in here as a backup quarterback. Hey, Stet, you want to come back as a backup? Stetson had to think about it. Hey, I guess so. I'd say it worked out pretty good for Stetson Bennett, Georgia, and Billy Napier. He got a head coaching job in Florida, and $15 or $16 million.
Yeah, that's
not bad.
Hard to feel sorry for the guy. Let's get into. I want to get your thoughts on one other game before we come back
Sure.
here.
Yeah.
And that's OU and Alabama.
Wow. Well, you saw what happened last year, right?
Yeah.
No, that was last year. You know, Ty Simpson is a different quarterback. I think Ty Simpson is the best quarterback in the SEC and maybe the country. And with all due respect to David Hale, who's an incredible writer for ESPN.com, if you don't read him, you really need to.
He's okay. Don't
He's
get
got
carried
some
away.
quarterback rankings that are out. I don't know what David's looking at that he's got Ty Simpson outside the top 10. I saw what Ty Simpson did here.
Yeah.
I saw the decision making, and I think Ty is as good as his supporting cast. I like the decision making. I like the mobility. I like the accuracy. I think he's the difference. And, you know, John Mateer was playing really good before the injury, but he hasn't been the same. And I just don't feel like Oklahoma has enough offense to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I like that home crowd, and I like Jam Miller. I like that running back. Boy, that physical force. And I know the numbers haven't been great, but I know what he did here against Georgia in the clutch, and you got to give the Crimson Tide credit. They scored 24 first-half points. Their defense was good enough to hold Georgia off. Might have been a missed block. Probably win that game 9 out of 10 times. But you know what? That time they didn't, and that is why Alabama is going to play in the SEC championship game. And we'll see what Texas A&M does, Paul. You know, they got South Carolina this week. Shane Beamer's usually good for one upset. I don't know if it's going to happen Saturday, but I also don't know if I believe that A&M is going to be able to beat Texas and Austin in the final game of the season.
Okay, final game that we're going to mine your brain with, and that's the one right here.
Yeah, I think it's an incredible matchup. You know, I think Texas has the best defense that Georgia has seen all year. Now Michael Taff is back, and this guy's a dude in the back end of that defense. I mean, he gets everybody lined up really well. Again, Arch Manning, only 1 interception in the last 4 games. You look at the last game and the numbers against Vanderbilt, they were fantastic. But some data showed that he didn't throw a pass longer than 17 yards. Sark said, you know what? Hey, Arch, let's do this controlled passing game thing. Okay, the extended handoff. Let's let our playmakers make plays after the catch, not throw into traffic, and see what happens. The completion percentage goes up, the yards after the catch pile up, and if there's one area where the Georgia defense has been somewhat suspect, it's been allowing these catches underneath. So this plays into Texas' factor. Now, other side of the ball, Gunnar Stockton, also a controlled passing game. High percentage completion. We talked about Zachariah Branch. Georgia with a very good run game. What it comes down to, ultimately, turnovers. And that comes down to who can run the ball the most effective. Strength on strength. It's the Georgia run game against the Texas run defense, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor.
How close?
Probably, depending on whether, okay, you hate it when I hedge. I'm going to call it a touchdown. We'll call it 31-24. I think Georgia wins this game. Georgia's fallen behind in 6 out of 7 SEC games. You know that means they're going to fall behind at some point tomorrow night. It'll be 7 out of 8. Kirby joked the other night, he just concedes that first touchdown now. See, even Mississippi State scored on their first drive. Those Cowbells were something else, by the way. It was great. We were there. We had a good time. Yeah. You were there. You saw it. I think Texas gets out in front. Georgia does what Georgia does. The process kicks in. The fourth quarter happens. Gunnar Stockton, another heroic moment, and the Bulldogs win by a touchdown.
Here you go. Mike Griffith.
That's it.
Mike, it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
Mike Griffith.
Appreciate it. Yeah.